I think I didn't do anything wrong, just enjoyed dinner with someone who made me feel alive again. But when I sent my husband a selfie from the restaurant, I had no idea he was sitting right behind me, with my lover's wife. The legal papers he later handed me made my stomach drop. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. At home, I always told myself I was the one holding our family together. Thomas worked his finance job, came home tired, and sat in silence while I cooked or scrolled my phone. I said he was too safe, too predictable. The truth is, I wanted excitement. At work, Victor started giving me that. He was funny, charming, always complimenting me on little things Thomas never noticed. He asked why I stayed late. I told him I had too many reports. Really, I just liked standing near him, pretending the office buzz was more important than going home. When Thomas asked why I was late, I said the copier broke again. He frowned, but I laughed it off. My mother said Thomas bored me because he was dull, not because I was restless. She told me a man should keep a woman entertained. My brother-in-law Daniel rolled his eyes and told Thomas to watch out. I said he was paranoid. In truth, I enjoyed how easy it was to twist everything. If Thomas seemed suspicious, I told him he was insecure. If he asked questions, I said he didn't trust me. The more I lied, the more clever I felt. That night, Victor suggested dinner downtown. I told myself it was harmless, just colleagues. But when I agreed, I felt a thrill Thomas could never give me. And I decided I'd take a picture to prove I was working late, just in case he asked. The bistro felt alive the second I walked in. Warm light, glasses clinking, people laughing too loudly. Victor already had a table, waving like we were old friends instead of two people sneaking around. I sat down and let him order wine for us. He leaned in, telling a joke about the office, and I laughed harder than I meant to. It felt good, reckless, like I was someone else for the night. When my phone buzzed, I saw Thomas's name and ignored it. Why should he get to control my evening? Instead, I tilted my head just right, snapped a smiling selfie with the wine glass, and sent it to him with a note saying I was networking with colleagues. Clever, I thought. Victor asked if Thomas ever got jealous. I said he was too busy being serious to even notice. That was a lie, of course, but it made me feel bold. I leaned closer, lowering my voice, playing the role of the carefree woman. Later, a friend of ours passed the table, eyebrows raised. I brushed it off, saying we were working late on a project. Gossip never bothered me. I believed I could spin it any way I wanted. As Victor poured me another glass, I felt untouchable, until I saw a shadow near the door, a woman's face lit with suspicion, and right behind her, Thomas's quiet, steady eyes fixed on me. Helena's voice carried first, sharp and cold as she asked Victor what he was doing here. My stomach dropped, but I forced a smile, pretending nothing was wrong. Thomas stood just behind her, calm, almost too calm, and that unnerved me more than if he'd shouted. I blurted that it was a work dinner, nothing serious. Victor muttered something about going over numbers, which only made Helena laugh bitterly. Back home, I tried to regain control. I told Thomas he embarrassed me in public, that barging into a restaurant like that made me look guilty when I wasn't. He didn't answer. He just looked at me, that blank stare I couldn't read. So I pressed harder, saying if he trusted me, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It was perfect gaslighting, turning suspicion into his flaw. My mother called later, saying Thomas should stop being jealous and let me live a little. I felt vindicated, but Daniel came by, face tight, telling Thomas he was right to be cautious. He even warned me to stop playing games before I lost everything. I laughed in his face, saying he was dramatic. What I didn't know was that Thomas wasn't arguing anymore for a reason. He had picked up my phone earlier, copied messages, and saved them quietly. While I thought I'd silenced him, he was gathering proof. At the next family dinner, I played the victim. I told everyone Thomas had stormed into a restaurant, accusing me of things I hadn't done. I framed it as a husband too insecure to handle his wife's success. My mother clucked her tongue, saying he should be proud I had colleagues who admired me. That gave me fuel, so I laughed loudly, making Thomas look like the unreasonable one. But I saw the whispers start. Friends exchanged glances, and Helena's name slipped into conversations. She was asking questions too, circling closer to the truth. Victor grew distant, suddenly cautious, while I doubled down, insisting to everyone that Thomas was suffocating me with suspicion. Daniel wasn't having it. He cornered me in the kitchen, saying flat out that I was reckless, that everyone saw what I was doing. I brushed him off, saying he was just jealous of how people liked me. But his words lingered, even as I poured more wine and kept smiling. The children sensed the tension, whispering why Dad was always quiet now. I told them he was tired from work, but their eyes followed him around the room like they knew more. And Thomas? He didn't argue once. He just sat there, composed, watching me perform. I thought his silence was weakness. Really, it was preparation. 2 days later, he booked an appointment with a lawyer. When he finally spoke, it wasn't in anger. Thomas came home one evening with a folder under his arm, his face unreadable. He asked me to sit. I rolled my eyes, ready to dismiss another lecture. Instead, he slid papers across the table, screenshots of my messages with Victor, the very selfie I had sent him, even notes from people who saw us at the restaurant. My chest tightened. He hadn't been silent out of weakness. He had been building a case. I tried crying, saying he twisted everything, that Victor was just a friend, that everyone exaggerates. He didn't argue, only pointed to the lawyer's card clipped to the folder. He had already spoken to Helena too, and her signature was there on a statement. I shouted that he was trying to ruin me, to make me look like a monster. He said quietly that I had done that myself. The children padded into the hallway, staring wide-eyed, and I had to swallow my words. My mother rushed over later, furious at Thomas for being so calculating, but even she faltered when she saw the legal seal stamped on the papers. Daniel, on the other hand, nodded, saying it was about time. He told Thomas he was proud of him. My hands shook as I realized these weren't empty threats. This was divorce and custody paperwork, already prepared. We met at a quiet cafe, the kind of place where no one knew us. I thought I could charm him back, remind him of our years together. I wore the dress he once loved, smiled like nothing had changed. But Thomas didn't even look at me that way. He set a thick envelope on the table and told me it was final. Divorce settlement, custody terms, financial division, everything signed, sealed. I reached for his hand, saying I only wanted excitement, that he was cold, that he pushed me into Victor's arms. He didn't flinch. He said the children deserved stability, not games. His voice was calm, almost gentle, but every word cut deeper than shouting ever could. I tried blaming Helena, saying she poisoned him against me. He just shook his head, reminding me it was my own words and actions that filled the file. Around us, coffee cups clinked, and I felt suddenly small, stripped of all my clever stories. My mother sat silent when I told her later, no more defenses left. Daniel congratulated him for standing tall. And Thomas? He rose from that cafe table with dignity, leaving me alone with the papers. I had walked into dinner thinking I was untouchable. Now I was staring at the price of my own games, signed in ink I couldn't erase. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.